Today, we are going to be discussing the instant karma someone will feel when they cross a healed empath, and some of the hidden benefits or opportunities someone has when an empath refuses to take on their negative energy. When someone crosses a healed empath, the concept of instant karma can manifest in a profound way. A healed empath has typically undergone significant personal growth and self-awareness, allowing them to set healthy boundaries, approach interactions with compassion and understanding. In essence, the instant karma received when crossing a healed empath often involves a combination of emotional repercussions, a shift in energy dynamics, and is an opportunity for the individual to reflect on potentially changing their behavior. When someone attempts to manipulate or harm a healed empath or try to control them, they're often met with an immediate and intense emotional backlash. This is because the healed empaths have developed a strong sense of awareness and emotional boundaries. Unlike unhealed empaths who might absorb and internalize the negative energy directed at them, a healed empath has learned to protect their energy and maintain their emotional equilibrium. The emotional repercussions for the offender can be severe, as the negative energy they intended to project onto the empath is reflected back to them and often magnified. This immediate emotional feedback can leave the individual feeling unsettled, guilty, or even ashamed as they are forced to confront the consequences of their actions in real time. Moreover, the interaction with a healed empath often causes a profound shift in energy dynamics. A healed empath operates from a place of inner strength and self-love, which naturally will repel negativity and other people's low vibrations. When someone crosses a healed empath, the contrast between their negative energy and the empath's high vibrational state becomes starkly apparent. This shift can be jarring for the individual, as they may feel an intense energetic resistance or even a sense of disconnection from the healed empath. The healed empath's energy acts as a mirror, reflecting the individual's true intentions and emotional state back at them. And this can be difficult for the person trying to control the empath. This can lead to a moment of introspection, hopefully, where the individual is compelled to examine their behavior and the underlying motivation behind it. So let's talk about some of the consequences or the instant karma that will occur. Emotional reflection. The empath may respond to negativity or manipulation calmly and clearly. This can create a mirror effect for the person crossing them, forcing them to confront their behavior. The instant karma here is the realization of their actions and the discomfort it brings. Number 2, boundary setting. Healed empaths are skilled at establishing boundaries. The healed empath may assertively communicate their limits if someone is trying to exploit them, guilt them, or shame them. This can lead to the other person feeling rejected or confronted, and it may serve as a wake-up call for their behavior, asking them to ask themselves, what energy did I put out? What was my intention? And if they're honest with themselves, it's an opportunity for them to really understand that the energy they put out is the energy they received. There's an energetic shift. This is number 3. Healed empaths often radiate positive energy. When they encounter someone with negative intentions, that energy shift can be dramatic. The person crossing them or trying to cross them can feel drained, confused, and even anxious, experiencing a form of karma as a consequence of their actions and intentions. Number 4, a severe loss of connection. If the healed empath decides to distance themselves from someone who has crossed them or is trying to manipulate them, that person may experience feelings of loss or abandonment. And this can serve as a reminder of the importance of respect and kindness in relationships. Number 5, consequences of actions. Ultimately, the healed empath's ability to navigate the situation with grace and wisdom can lead to the other person's realization that their actions have consequences. This can prompt self-reflection and ideally personal self-growth on their part. Unfortunately, when people run across a healed empath and they assume very often that because this person has such high empathy that they're going to tolerate the other person's nonsense to nauseam, and that's just not true. It will be true until the person who has high empathy has healed. Oftentimes, those of us who have high empathy, very much because we were raised to feel ignored, to feel rejected, to feel not good enough, and as a result, we're hypersensitive to other people because throughout our childhoods, we're trying to figure out how it is that we can be enough, how it is that we can take care of this person. So it's not uncommon for someone who has high empathy to come from a home that offered them no empathy. And so you end up being someone who really can't understand why people are mean to one another, or why do people bully one another, because you have come from such a wounded place. You know what that feels like, and you would never want to do that to anyone else. And while this makes you highly empathic and highly sensitive to the needs of others, if you don't work that out, if you don't get to the root causes of why you're so empathic and why you tend to attract narcissistic relationships, or why you tend to be codependent in a relationship, why are you the fixer, why are you the enabler, why are you the mother hen, or why are you always the knight in shining armor, why are you always in this role? If you don't get to the bottom of that with inner child work, with codependency recovery work, with childhood trauma work, then you stay on this loop, which is a subconscious program. You live below the veil of consciousness and you act this role out. Your ego believes in the role that you're playing. And so until you awaken and give up this role, then you stay locked in that role. So it's not uncommon for somebody who is highly narcissistic to gravitate towards someone who has high empathy or who is an empath. And it's not uncommon for an empath to get locked into situations and dynamics where they feel they have this knowing inside of them. They know why this person is wounded. They know and understand the trauma that this person went through. And so what it does is it actually causes a spiritual bypass, an emotional bypass, a psychological bypass from what the person who is highly empathic really needs. And so we can have over-empathy for other people, where we understand why the alcoholic is the alcoholic, or we understand why the narcissist is the narcissist. And I remember being 15 and understanding why my ex-boyfriend used to flirt with other girls, and being 18 and understanding why he would have cheated on me, understanding it because of the relationship he had with his father. But in all of that process, being so highly empathic, I was disconnected from the self. Codependency is called a loss of selfhood. And so it's not uncommon for codependents to have high empathy, but mark my word, when you are dealing with someone who has gone through this recovery work, who has done their shadow work, who understands how they allowed boundaries to be violated, how the minute someone guilted them and insinuated that they should have known better, they should have cared about what they thought about. And the empath realizes that in that scenario, this other person who's trying to manipulate them and guilt them doesn't see them. How often have you been in a situation where someone that you feel that you've been trying to help to nauseam, who has a bad day and comes to you and uses some type of a narrative on you that you should have known better. You know how wounded I am. You know what my wounds are. So in essence, what they're saying is that I'm the center of my world and I should be the center of your world. And what they're saying is, I really have no sensitivity for what might be going on in your world. Now, this is covert or vulnerable narcissism. And it's not uncommon for a healed empath, when a person who has high vulnerable narcissistic traits crosses that line, for the healed empath to like whip their head around and go, enough is enough. Now that person will feel the rejection of that and the abandonment of that and that pushing off of that. And they could really suffer in that situation. They could really feel like, oh my God, this amazing person who's always been there for me, who I've always relied on, suddenly wants nothing to do with me. And if they don't self-reflect, they can go down a rabbit hole and they'll repeat their patterns of feeling unworthy, feeling not good enough and abandoned and so on, but also feeling like it's someone else's fault that they feel this way. They won't take the time, unfortunately sometimes this happens, where the person who has crossed the healed empath is so caught up in the rejection aspect of it from the healed empath saying, no, enough is enough, that they take on that rejection. And it's a great opportunity for the person who is experiencing the instant karma of the healed empath's boundaries to self-reflect and ask themselves, well, what did I say right before this healed empath said that? What was the energy? Was it positive? Was it negative? Was it controlling? Was I trying to promote shame? Was I trying to promote guilt? Was it all about me? Was I considerate of where this healed empath might be in their day or on their path, or what was going on in their life? What did I throw at this healed empath that caused them to throw this boulder at me? And healed empaths have the ability to set a boundary. And a healed empath can set a boundary real quick. And this could be alarming to someone who has been in the company of someone who is healing. Because when the healed empath changes, it's done. It's over. I see you. I was kind to you. I put up with this. I went over and above. I went beyond. And now you've crossed a line. And now I understand that if I allow you to, you will suck the blood from my bloodstream. And in your unawareness, I have to make sure that I protect my own sanity, that I protect my own energy. And even if that hurts you, I'm going to set this boundary. I know that when I was unhealed or more unhealed than I am now, there were people that offered me instant karma, and I deserved it. I deserved it. So people who had no patience for my nonsense, no patience for my codependency, no patience for me acting like I was a victim, no patience for me whining, no patience for me blaming other people for why I was the way I was. One of the most profound people that did this for me was finally, after 5 therapists, I found this amazing therapist who was wouldn't let me play this game, who called me out on my nonsense. It was instant karma. And looking back, it was those moments in my life where I really realized those are the moments that caused me to self-reflect. When I was 9 years old, I had a chip on my shoulder. And my mother carted me off to summer camp thinking, okay, she's so lonely, she's so by herself, so she isolates, she's got anxiety. Maybe if I send her off to camp, right? Wrong thing to do, because I was not a camp kid. I didn't have the self-esteem to go to camp, but maybe my mother thought she was trying to help the situation. My first day of camp, I had a chip on my shoulder. I was so afraid of these other children. I couldn't imagine acclimating, and my mother destroyed my self-esteem. She beat me down so much by the time I was 9 years old, 10 years old. I couldn't imagine why anyone would want to be my friend. And so I acted a lot tougher than I actually was. And a little girl at our lunch table who was an amazing, I don't know if she was a healed empath or not, but it was instant karma for me, because she said to me, if you want to have friends, you should be nicer. And that was instant karma. Wow, I'm going to be 60 years old. I'm still talking about that instant karma situation today, where someone made me aware of the energy that I was offering the other person. And so those of us who have had these experiences, it doesn't mean that we're nothing. It doesn't mean that we're garbage. It doesn't mean that we're broken. It just means that we've got more healing to do. It means that we need to be a little bit more objective, or a lot more objective, about the energy that we're bringing. It means that we need to be more responsible for how we show up in the lives of other people. Be very careful about the text messages you send. Be very careful about the emails you send. Be very careful about the attitude that you present. Be very careful about implying that someone who's on the healing path or on the recovery path, especially a healed empath, be careful about implying that a healed empath hasn't done enough for you, or the healed empath hasn't thought enough about you, hasn't done enough for you, hasn't made you the center of their world. Be very careful when you make suggestions such as these as a healed empath, because a healed empath is very skilled when it comes to setting boundaries and protecting their energy, as they should be, as we all should be. So it's essentially an opportunity for all of us, whether we're on the healing path or we're approaching the healing path or we're on the healing path a long time. It's really a wake-up call for all of us. We have to really become more accountable for the energy that we bring every conversation. If the energy I'm bringing in conversation is negative and I'm trying to manipulate the other person so they do what I want them to do, my ego is going to backwards rationalize. It's going to make complete sense to me. But that's why I love the law of attraction so much, and that's why I love teaching the masterclass, because once you get it, it's all about the energy you bring. Because what you bring is what you're going to receive. It might take a while, But when it comes to a healed empath, it's not uncommon to exhaust a healed empath who has tried to help you and been gracious, and then you just cross the line. The empath's like, okay, I'm done. And in this situation, it's important to realize that that is instant karma. And for the healed empath, one of the things that the healed empath can work on is try to be more aware of when you're offering someone help, because when you're offering help, oftentimes if this person really isn't on the recovery path, or they're still sort of like in their own trauma, they're looking for someone to like almost glom onto, someone that they can ground to, someone that is their savior. And so even though a healed empath's intentions might be to help this person, you really have to be careful, because there are certain experiences and certain times and certain people who really need someone to ground to. And if you offer them a little bit of this sugar, because you're coming from, I really want to see if this little bit of sugar or nectar is going to help this person stand on their own 2 feet. And those of us who have high empathy and consider ourselves empaths, we want to be careful about our offering of help to other people. And you want to really be careful about navigating that. And remember always, and this is my advice to every empath, if you feed a man a fish, you feed him for a day. But if you teach a man to fish, you feed him for life. The thing that we have to navigate as empaths is oftentimes we're not sure if what we're offering this person is feeding them for a day, and or if it's able to feed them for life. Our intention is, here you go, dear one, here's a little golden nugget, go with it, run with it, make the best of it. But oftentimes we don't know until the relationship falls apart. And there is this instant karmic situation where it's revealed that this person really wasn't taking the golden nuggets and really wasn't making changes in their life, and instead saw you as a source of narcissistic supply to help them get by a little bit and a little bit and a little bit. But the true change comes when the person applies what you're teaching them to their life. And so if you're a healed empath and you've been crossed by someone who has just crossed the line and pushed you too far, I don't want you to beat yourself up if you're like, I'm done. I have to go no contact with this person. I understand why they wounded. I understand where their pain's coming from, but this really hurt. Like what they said and the intention they brought to the conversation, it really hurt. So I don't want you to beat yourself up because you had to go no contact. Just try to make sure and test your own self, like self-correct and do a self-analysis, do a check. Like, did you show up with integrity in the relationship? Were you really trying to assist in this person's integration and ascension and transformation? If yes, then you needing to set a boundary with someone is what you needed to do to protect yourself. And if you are on the receiving end of instant karma, again, don't beat yourself up, but don't miss this opportunity to ask yourself, was this simply instant karma by someone who maintains a really high frequency state, who manages their mind, who manages their emotions, who does the inner work, who does the inner child work, who does the conscious healing work? Is this simply the instant karma of this person who's really doing a really great job at maintaining a high vibe? And did I come at this person in a negative vibe? And did he or she just say, I'm not having it? Now you're on your own. So don't lose it. Don't miss this opportunity to really self-reflect and push you towards becoming more humble and more honest with yourself about how you're showing up. Because people are not put on this planet to serve you. People are not put on this planet to serve me. We all have our own stuff that's going on. And when we respect that and we come to relationships humbly, then we're going to get along a lot easier, and we're going to create a better planet in the meantime. It's all about elevating our consciousness, dear one, above our pattern. So if you have a negative pattern, that's not your fault. But through metacognition, through conscious healing, you have the ability to rise above it and change the patterns that are keeping you stuck. I hope this has been helpful. And if you want help on your conscious healing path, if you're interested in healing from codependency and rocking your life with self-empowerment tools and creating better relationships with your husband, with your wife, and with your children, and with all of humanity, go to www.lisaaromano.com or send me an email at coach@lisaaromano.com, and we will direct you towards the best coaching program that we feel will suit your needs. Bye for now. Hey, if you love this content, don't forget to check out the next video, and you can go to my website and take the codependency quiz.